I know this is rather odd for what I'm about to say, but I think it's the best time as any to say this. For the first time, I actually really took a good look at the Assassination Classroom Season 2 opening song's lyrics. And I'm just going to say right now, anime-onlys, I personally don't believe you should really look at the lyrics right now, because I didn't realize how much spoilers or foreshadowing was in the opening song's lyrics. I mean, when I look at the opening song, like the visuals and stuff, I mean, I could see some foreshadowing and hints to what's going to happen in the future, but the lyrics, it's like that Tokyo Ghoul level type stuff right there. Like, you know how Tokyo Ghoul's lyrics, even though, you know, the anime doesn't exist, the lyrics, the opening song, like Unravel and that, the lyrics, the way it hints at how the manga story really is, it's beautiful. And when I looked at the lyrics of this Assassination Classroom opening for the first time, I know, it's the first time, I just couldn't believe how the lyrics reference some of the stuff that's currently going on in the manga, which surprised me because, like I said last week, we just found out that the anime Assassination Classroom Season 2 is going to be covering the ending of the manga. The manga's ending is not here yet, but we got like a couple weeks, but still. It has an entirely new meaning when you look at the lyrics, and when you see the latest chapters of Assassination Classroom, you're like, my god, it just blows you away. So, just that alone, I couldn't help but have flashbacks, or just, you know, keep remembering the latest chapters. Don't worry, anime-onlys, I'm not going to spoil you. Don't have to worry, don't freak out. I'm just saying, this episode, it hit me a lot harder just because of the way the lyrics was, and then also the way the entire episode was. I felt like the timing of this episode with the recent chapter of the manga, it couldn't have been any better. Because some of the meaning in this, you know, episode kind of correlates with the latest chapter. And the timing of it, just like, holy crap, they couldn't have done it better. So, what is the main focus of this, you know, episode of Assassination Classroom? So, it's mainly about Nagisa's mother being very controlling. And there's a lot of meaning here, and I think a lot of us can learn a lesson from this episode. But to really dive into something else before that, let's talk about the content, how much was actually adapted in this episode. I remember when I read the manga that a lot of this content that we got in this episode spanned at about, oh god, at least a good 10 chapters maybe? 5, 10 chapters? It was a little bit of chapters, quite a bit of content, like enough for at the very least 2 to 3 episodes. And as I said last week, I'm rather worried that the series is going to be getting rushed very soon because they're starting to adapt a lot of content in a very short time, in like one episode. And I mean, they managed to compress an entire arc into one episode. Now, I'm not saying that this episode wasn't good. Oh, no, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying I am very, very, very fearful that they are going to start doing that. Because with all this content, like there's a lot of content still to cover. I'm not even joking. There's so much content to cover right now. I just really hope that the anime studio working on Assassination Classroom Season 2 does not cut content or rush content just to get to that finale. I'd rather have them do a hiatus for a good year just to get a Season 3 than have, you know, rush content that doesn't tell the full story or add the same similar emotions I got when I read the manga. So I'm still fearful about that because I have noticed a very increase in the pacing. Like, it's a big increase, along with, you know, a lot of the content being adapted in recent, you know, episodes. But besides that, however, talking about the main subject at hand, this episode depicts Nagisa and how his living situation is, or how, you know, his mother treats him. And I know the general reaction of so many anime-onlys, and myself included even as a manga reader, I had the same similar thoughts most likely you anime-onlys are thinking right now. That mother, she's probably one of the worst mothers of 2016. I mean, we've had some good mothers, and we've definitely had some bad mothers of this year of anime 2016, and this is definitely one of those type of mothers that is probably one of the worst of the year, because the way she treats Nagisa was disgusting. And there was a lot of symbolic meaning throughout the entire episode, and let's talk about one of the points that really stood out. When you saw the mother handing a torch to Nagisa, it's like, burn it, burn it, I don't think we should take it as if that was really happening. Let's look at it as a different angle. Like, at a different angle, let's look at that scene. It kind of looked like Nagisa's mother was telling Nagisa, like, I want you to burn this bridge. I want you to burn this path you're taking, and I want you to go down the path I am choosing for you. That's kind of how I looked at the scene. I looked at it as another deeper meaning behind the scenes, because Assassination Classroom has always been a series about that. It's been a series that gets you ready for like the future, life lessons. You're learning a lot of life lessons, and that's why this series relates with so many people, like, you know, people that in this age group that usually read shonen, is because they're going through similar situations. And the main focus of this arc was about a parent that wants to control your life and make you live a certain life or the path they want you to live. Like, let's say you wanted to be a writer. You want to be someone that writes books, but your parents are like, I don't approve of that. I don't fucking approve of that at all. I want you to be an archaeologist. Well, apparently you don't want to do that. You actually want to write books, but your parents want you to be like a scientist or an archaeologist or whatever. And you're like, I don't want to do that, but they control your life, and then they ruin your dream to force you down the path they want you to live. And that's kind of the way this looks. It was like the controlling parent side, like how parents sometimes will try to control your path of what you want to do, your dream, what you set out to do with your life that you've been given. They want to control that and force you down a path they think is better. They think because they're older and wiser that they can control your path. And, you know, I'm not saying that parents shouldn't do that. I'm not saying that parents should, you know, not have a say somewhat. But when a child has a clear-cut goal, like a dream they want to do, like let's say you want to be a writer or something, but you want your child to, you know, be a scientist, I just don't approve of that. Let your child do what they want to do and live their life the way they want, especially if it's a noble goal or a noble cause. Now, if the child's getting into some form of issues and trouble, I could see why you would want to, you know, steer him down the right path, which I have no problems with. But with Nagisa, he wants to go down his own route. His entire life has been controlled to where it feels like his own mother is living his life. For instance, it's like she is living her life through Nagisa. And because she had a failure in her lifetime, like she failed quite a bit, she feels like she can kind of live through Nagisa to get back at the world and allow him to be like the revenge card for her, to just spite everybody that did her wrong in her life before she got, you know, kind of destroyed and had Nagisa. And what makes it even more disgusting is how she goes along with saying like, oh, I wish you were a girl and stuff, and makes, you know, Nagisa keep his long hair. There is parents out there that does stuff like that. They'll say like, I wish I had a girl, I wish I had a boy, so forth, so on. And it's very depressing because that stuff does happen in everyday life. And seeing how a mother puts, or a parent, not just mother, puts their expectations on their child like that and wants something else, it just depresses me. It really does. And seeing something like that, it's definitely an episode that will probably hit home with many. It definitely is. It's that type of episode. And so the general reaction I think many are going to have while watching this episode is absolute disgust for the mother. And honestly, I don't see why you shouldn't. I mean, the mother, the way she was doing is something that you should honestly dislike. You shouldn't want your child to be controlled to where they can't live what they want to live, or live their life the way they want to live. And seeing how Nagisa took the steps, like he walked up the steps and was like, I'm taking my life the way I want to live it, I'm proud of him. I'm really proud of Nagisa for doing what he did in this episode. It was great character development, great characterization, along with great improvements on, you know, going for his life goals. So, one of the main things that many are going to be shocked about is when Nagisa says, I want to be an assassin. And this is something that many of us have, you know, thought about for a while now. Because, I mean, Nagisa being an assassin, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, he's shown crazy skills multiple times throughout the anime series and manga series that he can be a crazy assassin. I mean, look what he did to Bitch Sensei in this episode. He managed to grab the tag off the back of her collar, and she didn't even realize. And she's a pro assassin, but he was able to do it, and she didn't even realize what he did. So, he definitely has the skills to be an assassin, but these skills does not mean that he should be an assassin. There's other paths he could possibly take that could be more beneficial for the populace. And since, you know, Nagisa is such a good person, he's a very kind and sweet person, and he wants to protect people, he might have another, you know, career path that he has yet to realize before, you know, it's opened up to him. Like, he needs to just find out what he wants to do. So this is also like another coming-of-age story with this week's, you know, episode of Assassination Classroom, trying to realize that just because you feel like you're good at one thing, though, doesn't mean that you shouldn't have your, you know, a mind or, you know, your path open to many other routes. Because it's like, if you're good at drawing, but you're also good at writing, it doesn't mean that you should just choose drawing just because it's the first thing. You should look at the entire table and think, okay, now, I like all these things, I'm good at drawing, but I'm also good at writing, but there could be other options that you're not, you know you're good at, or you don't know you're good at yet, and you're waiting for you to realize that you're good at it, and that's kind of what is going on here. So, very good stuff with this episode of Assassination Classroom, a lot of good meaning, and great stuff that continues to happen every week with the anime series. So, yeah. Wonderful. One of the best episodes yet. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. You all have a wonderful day or not wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.